is a very old friend of mine, actually, but I haven't seen her since she was a little girl. She is just amazing, and what she does is very unusual, and you will find it extremely interesting because we all have read her book and she is fantastic. Amanda Waring. Hello, darling.
Hi. Welcome to the nest. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Welcome, Amanda. Darling, it's so lovely to see you. I haven't seen you. I met you when you were a little girl, when I was working with your daddy on a terrible series at Thames Television, and I used to come to your house in Barnes. He was such a gorgeous man. Your parents were just divine, and you were divine. You were just lovely. But Amanda, I need to ask you. Our viewers don't know who you are, and I need you to tell them who you are and what you do and how it all started, all in one big sentence.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, my name's Amanda Waring. I'm an actress, writer, filmmaker, celebrant, author, speaker, and a mother to my son Ben. So that's all in one breath. And my parents were well-known actors, Dame Dorothy Chewton and Derek Waring, and a lot of my work I do on care is in their memory and some of the difficulties that I learned from caring for them as well. So I do everything all at once.
Did you care for both of them? I mean, what happened? Did your mum become ill or your dad became ill? What happened from the transition from an actress to a carer?
Yeah, well, in a way, it's all gone alongside. I mean, I've even written a show called For the Love of Chocolate when Mama died, to celebrate the understanding of when someone passes without it being completely grief-stricken. So I pour melted chocolate all over me from head to toe in my show. So that's one way that I do it, and I continue to do that every year in Edinburgh, wherever. Wow. So the understanding of looking at grief in a powerful kind of in a powerful moving through way, using chocolate is always a good idea. But no, with Mum, it was very, very tragic because she was only 70 and she got leukemia. And she did live long enough to see the birth of my son and my brother get married, but she had so much more to give, and leukemia just took her, and she was not cared for well in hospital in any way, shape or form. So what happened was I sold my flat as a single mum to make a film in memory of my mum, which was called What Do You See? And that stars Virginia McKenna. And that film I then took to the government. I showed it at BAFTA and I said, we have to put dignity back at the heart of care. We have to put compassion back at the heart of care, and set up the Dignity in Care campaign, which has 150,000 dignity champions. And so my work, if you like, I'm grateful that, I suppose I'm grateful on one level that Mama died, that I could do this work. I know that sounds strange, but
I understand.
Do you understand?
It's a positive. It's a positive out of something that was so negative. Amazing.
Yes.
Wonderful.
And I would never have thought, you know, if you'd gone back to sort of just purely acting, that this is where I would be. And so I set up Dying Matters as well with organisations. I've done things and films for Comic Relief on the difficult aspects of end-of-life care. So, and being a death doula as well, which means that I regularly care and sing to those that are dying and help them cross more gently. But every day I can do work in any of those aspects. So I might be taking a funeral, covering myself in melted chocolate and singing to someone that's dying all in one day. Which is probably, you know, a bit worrying, isn't it, really?
No, but it's amazing, inspirational. And you know, Amanda, I've just read your book, which again, everybody can relate to. I mean, I went through a lot of stuff with my husband who died and almost became his carer. And as a result, all the stuff you talk about, you don't resent them, but you just worry, and you know, the anxiety we were talking about earlier builds. And I put on loads of weight. I put on 4 stone because I was, you know, I was eating all the time and feeding him and trying to keep him alive, and it was so difficult. But every aspect of your book, somebody I'm sure can relate to, and it's just an amazing book. And how long did it take? How did you how long did that take you to write that? Because you must have gone through it yourself so much.
I think that was it, and I'm quite honest in the book, you know, because I think the thing is, it's not, you know, though I talk about dignity and care and everything, you know, it's so hard when you are faced with obstinacy and difficulty and a loved one swearing and screaming at you and scratching at you. And I'm still advocating that, you know, we still open our hearts and compassionate. We have to care for ourselves as well. And I think I have written 3 books, so this is the 3rd of my books, and this is the one that I suppose has everything in it, around how do we care for ourselves, because we have to place ourselves at the heart of our own care in order to better care for others. And this is what I talk about globally, is the understanding of to care for yourself whilst caring for others. That's how you do it. But if you don't,
I remember, actually, you're right, because I remember when I was going through this with my husband, I remember walking, I was living in Islington, I remember walking up the hill and being so out of breath. I'm thinking, I'm getting really sick myself, you know, and my friend phoned me and she said, you've got to do something, you've got to start caring for yourself, otherwise we're going to lose you as well. Yeah, absolutely.
You know? And it's common, darling, as well. And I'm so sorry, you know, you had to go through that. I went through that as well. That's why I know how important it is. You know, I got to that absolute edge of just, actually, I cannot do another thing. And it would be easier for me to die than to have to try and keep someone alive.
Yeah.
And that can be the depth of the truth of what people are suffering silently with, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Out there in the world, you know, not being able to reach loved ones that they would have been caring for is another, you know, poignant and powerful subject to cover. And I talk about it a lot.
I mean, you touched, Amanda, on singing to people that are dying. I remember when my dad was passing, because my mother looked after him for years and had a terrible time with him because he had Alzheimer's and he was, you know, he became violent and everything else and had to. But I always, you know, when he was passing and he was on palliative care, which is, to me, it's terrible when they just really basically they're starving them to death, aren't they? I thought palliative care was a gentle way to leave this planet, but it's not. That I used to play music in his ear from my phone, and it just calmed his breathing. And I think music is a great healer.
Music is medicine, darling. It really, really is. And the way, you know, I do a blessing, a blessing of love. I mean, if you're happy, I'll sing it. It's really quick, little chant, but it's about sharing that.
Please
love.
do.
So
do it, darling.
All right. So, may there be love in your east and love in your west. May there be love in your north and love in your south. May there be love without and love within, as your journey of love begins. As your journey of love begins.
Well, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much. I wanted to say that it's so moving. My mother died about 18 months ago, and again, I was with her, and I've been with a lot of friends actually as they have passed. And in fact, I lost a dear friend last week. And there is something, we knew each other since we were 12, and it just seems unimaginable today. But again, playing music to my mum, I used to play her Shirley Temple. We knew she was dying over a few days, and all the various Frank Sinatra, various things that I knew she loved that were in her youth. And again, it was just, I had just sit there and play music to her and chat to her and talk to her. And again, it gives oneself a sense of peace to be present, to do that and be there. Yes. What I was going to say to you, and it's extraordinary, your journey and all the things that you've evolved, harmonizing all those abilities that you have to be so diverse. But I also wanted to say that my father, who's 94, still drives to the supermarket, absolutely unchanged. He and your mother were at RADA together. And I have pictures of them, which I haven't got. Sorry, I know. And they did the Philadelphia story for their passing out sort of awards. And I remember as a little girl watching her do Anne Boleyn in the Henry VIII, and my daddy saying all this at the time, and I've always adored her work, and the fact that they were at RADA together must almost, well, not 100 years ago, but 80 years ago, is so extraordinary. And so I must find the pictures and
find those pictures, darling.
I know, I will. I don't know where he's put them now, but they'll be somewhere. And again, it's of them at RADA, which is the most extraordinary thing, that we're now talking about something so moving and so important and wonderful. And my father cared for my mother for over 30 years. And again, it was extraordinary. And that ability to care in those painful moments, it actually gives you, I mean, it is worrying. And as Dee so rightly said, it can be, as you said, it's terribly distressing. But there's also a sense of peace at the end, knowing you've done what you've done. And that's the most important thing. And in the aviation industry, the rule is when the oxygen masks come down, you put them on yourself first and then the child next to you. You have to look after yourself first so you can help other people. And that's the most important bit of imagery that I carry with me always. I have to put the oxygen on myself, the oxygen of life, and care, and then I can care for everyone else.
Absolutely, darling. And I think, again, it's so beautiful to share that, and understanding that, you know, you are as important as the person that you care for. And if you like, there's a moment of peace and equality where there is no them, there is no us. When you are working with the dying to the very end, there is just that, there is peace. And I think that people, when they find that moment, it is life-changing. I mean, you wouldn't want to go through it on one level, and I consistently am going through it with other people, but there is that moment of peace in the heart, and I can't describe it other than that melting of everything that you know, but in that present moment when you share that journey with someone, you too have that melted golden heart, and it's a really beautiful experience to share.
Can we find all your information? We'll put it on our website because it's so extraordinary. And will you please, please, please come back and talk to us again, because it's the most inspirational, moving discussion. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's so lovely to see you all. Bless you all. Thank you.
Bye, darling.
Bye, darling.
Wow.
Oh, joy. That has sparked her positivity, her journey forward.
Amazing.
Is actually, really amazing.
And Harriet, the reason that you're so into her is because of the chocolate. We know it. You just want to cover yourself in chocolate.
I'm hearing a whining sound. I don't know what's going on.